So next we'll go ahead and try to hook up the shore power just to see if the battery will start charging and see what that looks like on our controls and on our screens and things like that. And so first thing we've got to turn on is our 50 amp inlet power. So this takes the 50 amps coming in and runs it through a breaker just to be sure that we don't overload our inverter. So we've got one here, so we've turned that on. And so the next step is to come in here, and we have plugged in. This is temporarily mounted, so we've plugged in this little guy. So this is our surge protector, and we have a video on how we mounted that and why we chose this one and everything. But we'll switch that to normal use. And so this little screen will display as far as L1, L2, it'll tell you how many volts and how many amps you're pulling off of each leg, as well as the frequency of the voltage coming in, and it will generally, if it's not a clean signal coming in, or if it's an open ground or things like that, it will not let the power through. So it's to protect our system. So the last piece is to go ahead and plug in our shore power. So we'll do that next. All right, so we've got our shore power cable. And we've never even really tested this or plugged it in, so we'll see if it works. So we'll plug in this. It's got to line up just right. There we go. And then it twists to hold it in there. And then this little ring makes it watertight. Not that we have to worry in Arizona. We get like 3 days of rain a year. So anyway, this is now plugged in. So we'll go to the pedestal, plug it in to the pedestal, and then flip on the breaker. And we'll see. Hopefully everything's wired in right. All right, we're on the other side. We parked the bus backwards because we thought we'd mostly be working on this side. So we've had to run the cable under the bus. So here's the plug that my good friend Matt, the electrician that lives 2 houses down, put in for us. So it's a 50 amp plug. So we should be able to plug that guy right in. Here's the RV outlet. So we'll fire that guy on. And so what happens is the surge protector will actually take a little while before it powers the system on. So I think it takes like 2 minutes or something. It tests the current and then lets it through. So we'll go over there and see what that's doing. All right, so if we come under here, we'll see 60 hertz, no errors. L1 has 121 amps, 3 amps pulling off of it. L2, 121 volts, no amps. So we would expect that because we've only got one of the legs wired through. All right, so we've got a nice little hum going on in here, but if we look at the lights, we can see that the charger is on and it's in bulk charge. We can also see that the inverter is not on, meaning that it is now running on shore power. So if we plug this back in, which this is our little air conditioner, we should see the air conditioner come on, which it does. And up here, we should see that we are pulling, it looks like we are pushing 53 amps, or between 50 and 53 amps of voltage into the battery. So we should see that here as well, and we do. So if we look here, we see the current, it shows 52 volts going into the battery, 2.9 kilowatts. So it also gives you a time till it's full. Whoops. That looks like it's going to be in about 4 hours, and it also gives you temperatures, and we can see that the voltage now is changing on some of the cells. It was 3.97 pretty much for the last year, and now that's starting to go up. So battery voltage, which was 55.6, is now climbed up just a little bit to 55.9-ish. So when this reaches full, and this is the temperature of our batteries. So 21 degrees C, 22 degrees, and 21. So that's pretty low. It's about, what was it, 70 degrees, somewhere around there. Anyway, these should be balancing as well. Now, if there's greater than, I think 0.25 is what it's set at right now. If the differential is greater than that, then it'll start balancing by putting resistance on the top side. All right, so the last time we left, we had gotten everything hooked up. The charger was working. The problem was it was about 6 o'clock on Monday after evening. So the problem is that's when we take the bus back to park it. So we couldn't get a full charge on our batteries. So now we've hooked everything all back up, made sure everything was right, and now the charger is going. So the charger's charging. We can see it's drawing about 28 amps from the mains. And in here we're pushing about 53, 52 amps into the batteries. So these again should go up to 4.1, I believe, and then the main voltage I think is 57 and a half, I think. Now let me look at the charger profile. 57.4. So this will keep charging. This says it'll take about 4 hours or so for it to charge. I'm not sure, we'll see, but supposedly when this thing charges all the way up, this meter will reset, and it will reset to 100, and so then it will be way more accurate. So the thing is, when you first plug in your batteries, it doesn't really know what state to charge the batteries in, and so it just sticks it right at 50%. So we will monitor this, but we'll also have some work to do inside. So periodically we'll come out and monitor everything, make sure everything's still well within the specs, and see how it goes. All right, so we have gone through our first cycle. So we've charged the batteries all the way up to 100%. I don't know if you can see that. So the batteries are currently at 100%. We're drawing 1 amp because we've got the little AC on here, our inverter's on, and we've got power to all of the plugs. So we're drawing 1 amp currently. So I mean, if you do the math on that, our battery is about 462 amps, so 80% of that, we'd have about 300 hours or so that we'd be able to go on that. So anyway, we're going to go inside and turn on the main AC and see how that affects this here and the time to empty and everything else. So we can see our battery voltage, it charged it to 57.4. Our max cell is 4.110. Our least is 4.062, which is pretty well balanced. That's only 0.05 about off as far as voltage. So they're fairly well balanced. The temperature of the batteries is 18 degrees. We were just charging them, so they went from 17 and a half to 18. So it looks like they're right around 17 to 18 degrees. This is all the voltages of them, so we can see them all at once, but the first screen will tell you what the highest and the lowest is. So the highest is 4.110, the lowest is 4.062. As we talked about earlier, we may tune that down. We very likely will. So we'll go in, we'll turn on the main AC. Fortunately, or unfortunately for this test, but today is a very cool day in Arizona. It is about 76 degrees. It's about perfect. So we hope to be chasing weather like this anyway. We know that's not always really possible, but we'll go ahead and turn the air on. It's 80 some degrees in the bus because when the sun beats down on the metal roof, there's no insulation or anything in there. So the AC should have to work a little bit. So we'll go ahead and turn it on and see what happens. All right, so it is 80 degrees in here. 74 degrees outside. So this is our air conditioning here. So we'll go ahead and turn it on, and we'll lower the temp maybe like down to 70. So give it 10 degrees to try to cool off in here. So as I said, it's 80 in here now, 74 outside. So we just heard it turn on. So we'll go see what's going on outside. All right, so we've got the two ACs running. We're drawing about 5.3 amps, and that should ramp up. That's how these inverted ACs work, is they will keep ramping up. So there it goes to 7.5, 7.6, and I can hear it on the other side starting to spin up. And so it'll try to cool down the inside. It's got 10 degrees to go, which is quite a bit. So it should be pulling quite a few amps to get there. So there it's at 9.4, and we've also got the AC on here in the bay. So we've also got that one on down there. It hasn't been doing much. The battery in there is actually at under 70 degrees, and we've got the thermostat on that one set for 77, which is the kind of like the ideal temperature for the Victron stuff. So there's 9.77. So we'll go look at what's going on with the AC. So like I said, it ramps up. It doesn't just do the big surge like a normal AC. So 9.85, 9.86 so far. So we'll go look at the AC real quick. All right, so here's the AC. It's spinning. It is pushing out some hot air. It's not extremely hot, but it's warm. It's a nice day today in Arizona, and the air it's pushing out is fairly warm. So I think this is pretty much almost full speed for this AC. So we'll go back and monitor the little screen once again and see what it says. All right, so the AC is still just pulling 9.6 amps out of the battery. When this goes down by one tick to 99%, then it'll start doing the time to empty. So it needs to calculate, like, okay, how long did it take to drop it down that far, and then it'll start giving us, okay, you have this much time remaining with this load on your battery. So right now, if we look at the inverter, we can see that we're pulling about 5.1, 4.5, right around 4.5 to 5.5 amps out of our inverter, and that's just running the two ACs, the one here in the bay and the main AC, which is cooling down the house right now. So we'll go in there and take a look and make sure it's working and pushing out cold air. But it looks like it's doing right about 5 amps right now. Okay, so we're feeling the air, and it does feel nice and cool. If we go ahead and take a temperature measurement of the air that's in there, we're getting about 54 degrees is the air temperature that it's pushing out, if not a little colder than that. There's 49 degrees. So it's pushing out it's cold air. So I think that would cool it down quite a bit. All right, it's been about 30 minutes. The temperature inside is about 71. So the AC's been running for a little over 30-40 minutes. And it's been about 5 to 6 amp draw this entire time. So we see so now that we've got 99%, we see the time to empty, 89 hours and 57 minutes. So if we ran this load, and if it was a really nice day outside and the only thing we were running was the air conditioner and the air conditioner in here, we would get about 90 hours out of our battery. We haven't run it all the way down. We don't have time right now because it's Monday again, and we're about to go shut everything down and put the bus away. But so far, the performance has been pretty good. Our AC is performing actually better than we thought it would. When we tested it in the summer, it was really hot. It was over 105 or over 106 or something, but it was pulling 8 or 9 amps at that time. And right now it's only pulling about, if I look at this, it's only pulling about 3 amps. So it is adjustable. It does adjust according to how hot it is and how much heat it needs to pump out of the area. But it's cooled it down in there about 10 degrees in about 40 minutes or so. Our other loads, lights, are all going to be LED. We have fantastic fans in there just to move the air around. Well, they're Max Air fans. My wife was just shaking her head. So we have Max Air fans in there just to move the air around. They don't draw a lot of power, especially since this is at 48 volts. They draw about 3 amps at 12 volts. So not a whole bunch of power there. So we should, this battery so now the AC is kind of kicked off. So we can see it there. So it's already reached 70 degrees. So now it's 291, 330 hours till empty. So the battery's performing quite well. There's been no real drama or anything with it. So it's been doing about what we hoped it would do. So it's been doing really well. So that. All right, here we are inside, and it is about 97 degrees in here. So it's 92 outside according to this. We are going to power our AC on, and so we'll see him coming on here. So I'm going to set it for 70. All right, so we're drawing about 7 amps, and it should come up a little bit. 8 amps, 9 amps. So I'll go get the computer in a little bit and we'll see what kind of AC loads the Victron thinks we're pulling. So we've got the computer on. We see we're pulling about 31 amps out of the DC, and we are pushing about 15.1 amps with both ACs running at full tilt. So that is 32 amps there. Says that we'll be able to run for about 14 and a half hours without any additional input. But both ACs, it's hot today, so both ACs are running. All right, out here this guy's working hard. As you can hear, it's not terribly loud. We're out here talking. This is running pretty much at full speed, and he's doing pretty well. So we've got 131, I guess. Right, we're about 30 minutes in now, and our load has been reduced to about 22 amps. So it shows that we'd last for about 20 hours at this load. The AC's still working hard in here. It looks like we're down to about 84, while outside it's cooled down 1 degree to 91 from 92. All right, it's been about an hour and a half, and we are down to, we're drawing about 16 amps now. So it says it would last for about 26 and a half hours at this draw, where our battery's now at 91% full. And so inside, the temperature has come down to about 77 degrees. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. So what did we learn? So we learned that we can fully charge up our batteries, and that the charger is working, and that it is respecting the parameters that we put in, so it isn't overcharging our battery. It does seem to function the way we want it to function. We also learned that if we're out boondocking and it's pretty warm, like today was 92 degrees, that we can run our batteries and run our ACs, and it's not going to overheat our batteries or tax our system too much, especially when we have solar. So if we're at a place where it's pretty hot, it's probably fairly bright, and so we have enough solar that we're going to install that we should honestly, for power, be able to run indefinitely, because at these loads we're seeing that we can get about 24 hours with our battery without any power assistance at all. So we should be able to go at least 8 hours through the night, and during the night it should, no matter where we're at, it should cool down. So our AC shouldn't have to work as hard. So here we kind of went with the worst case scenario, where we started at 92 degrees and then tried to drop it all the way to 70, which is actually too cold. We're probably never going to keep it at 70. It's probably be more like 77 or 78, somewhere around there. So it's already that. It's already 74 degrees in there. So we can run pretty much all day, probably a whole 24-hour period, without needing to recharge or plug in or anything like that. So I'm thinking, if we use the cooktop, and if we use the microwave and stuff like that, that'll be, a significant load, but it'll be such a short period of time. And also our refrigerator, really the one we're looking at now, only pulls about 1 kilowatt a day. So again, that isn't going to be a significant load on this at all. So we're hoping that we've sized our system properly and appropriately for what we're going to be able to use. And these two systems that we were running now are going to be some of the biggest power draw systems, so both the ACs, and it's doing just fine, and the temperature of the battery hasn't risen at all, and everything seems to be running exactly how we think it should run. So I think we're going to call this well and done. So it looks like it's working the way it's supposed to be working.